call to order and introduction of board members.
I'm Liz Sayre. I'm from MAUSD Board Rep at Hannaford.
I'm Nicole McTavish, Superintendent Director.
Wendy Pratt, Assistant Director.
Christina Macklin, I'm an Addison Northwest School District Rep.
Steve Fox, Middle at Large.
Dan Rosignol, Northwest Addison at Large.
Jim Farnham, the chairperson. I live in New Haven, and I'm the community at large member for the Mount Abraham School District.
Austin Haynes, business manager, New Haven resident, neighbor of Kim.
Vance Bishop, Middlebury at Large.
Linda Berry, Clerk. And David?
David?
David Roberts, Director of Operations.
Shannon Thurber, Executive Admin Assistant.
All right, next up is,
Nicole,
oh, did I miss? Oh,
let's do the crowd.
would the crowd like to introduce yourselves, please?
Absolutely. Good afternoon. Ultimate Danforth, Education and Human Services Instructor here at the HCC and Addison County resident.
Jill Heidegger, Culinary Arts Instructor. Yeah, Lincoln President. How was that?
I'm Nima. I am a former Hannaford Career Center student. I graduated in 2021 from the Culinary Arts class.
Who works at the Grand over at the Jefferson.
Stephanie Wilbur, I'm a Medical Professions Instructor and a Shoreham resident.
Hi, I'm Craig Wolosinski, Diesel Tech TA, Middlebury resident.
And I'm Tracy Crossbaker. I am the College and Career Counselor here, and I'm a New York resident. Did we get everybody?
Somebody's going to introduce Steve.
Well, thank you for introducing.
They're looking at me.
You guys want to introduce yourselves? Nice to meet you, Octavia.
Yep, and this is Michael.
And Michael is a grad from our manufacturing program.
Yes, yes.
All right,
Thanks, guys.
here's going to sleep, sorry. All right, next is motion to approve agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any opposed? Hearing none, moving on to motion approved, February 19th minutes. And you've got a link there.
Just noting Bill Peterman is joining.
Who's on? Bill.
Bill's
Thank you.
coming in.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, moving on to public comment on agenda items. Do we have any public comment on the agenda items? Hearing none, we're moving on to item C, board reorganization. So the first thing that we need to do is appoint our board officers. So let's start with chair, and then after you appoint a chair, I will turn the meeting over to the chair. Do I have a motion to recommend a chair for
I'd like to recommend Kim Farnham if she would have us. I'll second that.
Any other nominations? All right, hearing none. May I have a action to nominate Kim Farnham as the chair of the Hannaford, Patricia A. Hannaford Regional Technical School District Board. What's that? Oh, do I not need a motion? Okay, I'm just.
The nomination is the motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, now I will turn the meeting over to our new chair.
Thank you, everyone. The next nomination will be the vice chair. We currently, Steve actually holds that position right now. And he does not appear to not want to do it again.
Okay, then I will nominate Steve.
Thank you.
We
got him with his hands tied behind his back.
I'll second that, Linda.
Thank you very much. And Steve, you will accept that?
Yes, I will.
Thank you very much. All those in favor of having Steve as vice chair, please raise your hand and say aye. Thank you very much. Next is our secretary. I believe Christina currently holds that position. do. And you, anybody want to arm wrestle me for it? Yeah.
I nominate Steve. I'll second that nomination.
Thank you, Steve. Anyone else? Any other nominations, I should ask? I forgot to do that. Anyway, apologize. Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting Christina as our secretary, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Okay, so next on the agenda is establish dates, times and locations of meetings and the retreat. In your packet, there's a list of the meeting dates that currently exist and when they are scheduled for the year. Any input, questions that we need to adjust? Seeing none. How are the times with all those committee meetings? Are they pretty much set right now?
That's number 5, it's
Yeah,
in
we
the queue.
reorganize here too, yeah, okay. I just asking for my own piece of information that I need. So the dates that are listed, any questions about those or objections to times or changes? We will take as written. I need a motion to accept those.
Move that we accept the times as warned for board meetings.
Thank you.
Second it.
All those in favor, you raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Retreat dates. Traditionally, I believe we've done them in July, August in the past. I'm not sure if the choice might be. Is that something you want to do later in the year? Thoughts, discussion?
Normally we have that facilitated by someone. Has anyone got any information on when people would be available to facilitate that? I think the SBA has done it the last couple of times, so wouldn't it kind of depend on when they're available?
Well, I think too, the subject matter, you're right. What do we want to talk about?
Okay.
You know, we talked earlier about, because we do have a lot of new board members, which we seem to do every year, unfortunately.
Oh, I don't know, some of them are getting a little long in the tooth.
Yeah. So, I'm gonna put the subject that, you know, again, conversation, maybe with the SBA or anything else. And obviously, we have a lot of transition going on at the legislative level, and maybe when we know a little bit more, we'll get some clarification maybe from them.
Yeah, I mean, I think we also, like, we need to work more on our goals and our work plans.
Exactly, we have some preliminary,
That, for me, rises to the top.
but we talked about that, and we talked about our calendar.
Right.
And things like that.
Yeah.
And making time to do that as a collective group, I think will be helpful. So, retreat dates, can we get back to you on that? If we know a little bit more, maybe after the legislative session, and if we need something interpreted.
I would say August would be preferable in July.
I would agree with that.
Okay. Any other? So let's say August, no date, just the month of August, and we'll go from there.
We've got someone from Vermont, FFA Association has joined online.
Okay. And could you give me a name? Or do you have none?
I have none. If the person that's logged in as Vermont FFA Association would announce themselves, give us a name. Oh, I got allowed to talk. Try that again.
If they signal us, let us know.
Do you need a name?
Eventually, if they want
Yeah,
to continue.
if they're gonna speak later, maybe. Anyway, thank you. Establish a newspaper record.
I move that the Addison Independent be established as a newspaper record.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Okay, all those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? None. Designate place for posted meeting agendas. And there is a link there. Only because I don't have it in front of me. Shannon, where are they posted down?
They are posted, so it goes to all of our sending school central offices, and they're hung up there. It is sent to every clerk, and they hang it up in their offices as well.
Any at the post offices? I know the past, some of them matriculated down there, I think through the clerk. Or something like that.
I don't know how to get it.
That would only be if the town clerk of that town
Posts it, that's right, good, Mike, thank you.
The official list is not listed in post offices, only town offices.
Thank you. All right, need a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Kristen, thank you. Second?
Second.
Steve Orsick? All those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Seeing none, that motion carries. Establish the board standing committees, which I earlier indicated and mentioned. Finance, policy, facilities, and obviously the negotiation committee. Vance, I don't know if you're on anything right now.
I'm not, and I would do the facilities committee, or if there's something you guys need more help with, I guess.
Should we go committee by committee and reassign,
I'm comfortable with what everybody's on now. I don't know if you want to switch. Does anybody want to switch their committees?
I mean, that's just how we usually do it, that's in Northwest, we go committee by committee. Reassign.
I don't know the list of, that's the.
So finance committee,
Assigned.
everybody remember what you're on? Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
This is the list I posted here.
Are you currently on that committee?
Finance?
Yeah.
Yeah. Chair.
Thank you.
Dan's chair.
Dan is the chair. Anyway, thank you. So I need a motion to maintain that standing committee as written up there with the current leadership. From Dr. Dan.
Can I make the motion? I make a motion.
Thank you.
I'm wondering, well, there's opportunity to adjust in the future, correct?
Yes.
So I feel like there was communication that we might wanna find different folks for negotiations.
Yes. You know, Judd, I'm not sure if he's still on the board. And I know he has a new job right now, so he has the opportunity to come today, but as a community at large member, maybe shifting.
He's not community authority.
He's not.
He's a with.
Okay. But I know he has a new job, so it's schedule wise, we may not be able to come in.
When's his term
Yes.
up, do we know?
On the list that has all of your names and your emails and your addresses, it also has everybody's start date on it, so that if you pull up those links that I've shared with you in the past, it will be on there. For terms.
In the meeting times.
Did I hear correctly that Vance wanted to be added to the facilities? Is that
Yeah,
right?
I would do
I'd be
that.
interested in doing that.
Jeff came on in 2020.
Thank you.
But that's a weird decision, I don't know.
Right. Okay, need a motion to accept that standing committee list?
Are you doing an addition?
I'm sorry?
Are you adding Vance in any place? Because that was.
Facilities.
That was not a part of the motion.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you might be substituting.
Could be, but let's not,
Okay.
we're just adding to the
Okay.
list. So go ahead and add that to your motion.
All right. Oh, do you want me to make a motion to accept that facilities committee as stands with the addition of Vance Bishop?
On the facilities committee.
Facilities.
Thank you. Second? Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Parks. All those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye. Thank you. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. So the assignments are set on this next piece. The answer's the biggest one, so,
Policy is all set.
far as I know, unless anybody
Yeah,
wants to change.
I was just gonna say, yeah.
I like the new time of the finance with the policy that puts the two together for both of
Yes.
us. Okay, so I make a motion, we accept policy as it stands.
Are we?
I'm confused.
Yeah, me too, because I thought we just did a motion for all the committees.
Well, I think it started out with just the
It started out with just
finance.
finance.
Because we had to appoint Vance. Also, that was the other outstanding. The other piece is Chrissy on it.
Well, she's on
She's
policy,
on
but,
policy.
I'm sorry, I can't see her.
yeah.
Okay. Is she aware of that?
Yes, she's been to one policy, one
Okay,
policy.
thank you.
Yep.
She is crazy, she is crazy.
Yep.
Okay, but she's aware of it. But is she up to date pretty much?
Like I said, we haven't seen her in a couple of months, so I don't know where she stands.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you. Pleasure of the group. Are we all set with those? Do you need another motion, Linda, for each one of those?
Well, I thought we had a motion for all of them too, so I misunderstood that.
Thank you. I think we do. Consent agenda as listed, monthly accounts payable, there's a link, but Austin, do you want to talk about that?
Yep, sure, I'll take that one away. So this is a quick recap of our expenditures for the month of February. In the general fund, we had $147,306.44 of AP checks. Our payroll exposure was $237,307.42. In adult ed, we had $906.60. No activity in the makery. Our enterprise revolving account, there were $4,366.09 of accounts payable checks. Student activities, $867.61. No activity in our scholarship account, and last but not least is our BERF. We made $8,110.86 in purchases. And that closes out the month of February. Any questions about those transactions?
Can you give us an update on the audit later?
Sure.
Thank you.
Yep.
Why don't we just wait for that?
Okay.
We don't mind. Any questions? Seeing none, I need a motion to accept the consent agenda as worded.
Move that we accept the consent agenda as warned.
Second? All those in favor, please say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Thank you. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion. Thank you. And next, nice highlight that Nicole and I wanted to add is, we did this many years ago, but there's a presentation of some of the programs with some of us not having students here anymore, or seeing the evolution of some of the newer programs. This is a good time for the board to be able to meet a few people here and have them come and do a presentation. Anyway, so that would be Stephanie. They're not here yet. What time did you give them?
5:30. They should be here.
Okay. So no problem. You wanna?
It's no
In the
problem.
meantime, we will let somebody introduce himself. Spiel who you are.
Sure.
Thank you.
As I said earlier, my name is Craig Wolosinski. I've lived in Middlebury for the last 24 years. Started working at the Career Center about a year and a half ago. Started off subbing, and then was a TA in auto. Moved over to diesel, and I just loved it. I applied for the position, was thankfully hired to be the diesel instructor next year, teaching something that I've always wanted to try doing, and I'm just very thankful to have that opportunity.
How many students do you have over there now?
So right now in the morning, we have 18, and then 10 in the afternoon. Yeah, it's a great class. A lot going on.
But all pretty motivated to be there.
Yes, yeah, they enjoy it there.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
You're welcome to stay, but you do have something else to do.
Well, it's not too often.
Not good at all.
Nice to see you.
Thank you, Craig.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And the board has Craig's resume, but if I could collect those at the end, I don't want his personal information floating around.
Right. So we need an action item for his position.
I'll make that motion to hire.
Thank you. And a second?
Second.
Thank you, Stu. All those in favor?
Aye.
Raise your hand or say aye. Thank you. Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Thank you.
But he is working here now, right? He's not just starting on July 1st.
He's a TA
right?
now.
Yes.
Just
making
yeah.
sure.
And I signed his contract. Thank you.
Action item?
Yeah, who wants to present those?
I'll take.
We can start.
Sure. So the ends policies are scheduled throughout the year for the superintendent to report back to the board on my compliance with things. And you probably remember that the ends policy 2.0 is the sort of biggest and most global, in fact, it's called global executive constraint. Essentially, this policy is you telling me that I may not do anything which is unethical, violates labor relations, violates professional standards, or is illegal in the state of Vermont. And so I go through and report that I have no violations in those areas and am in compliance with superintendent local policy executive constraint. And the board and I am happy to take any questions.
Seeing none. These are all action items. Linda, do you recommend we do them individually?
Yeah.
Thank you. So I need a motion.
Move that we accept the director's report on compliance with global executive constraints 2.0.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye or raise your hand.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Financial planning and budgeting.
That one is mine. So this is another quarterly report we look at. It dovetails with policy 2.3, which is our financial controls. So it's pretty much part and parcel with that policy. This one is more on a global or higher level description of our strategy. And then 2.3 gets into more macro details, which we'll talk about next month. At its core, just to summarize, the policy talks about how the district's overall financial planning process is in alignment with the budget that we approve every year. And we have financial plans in place that avoid risk and putting the district at financial jeopardy. So that's kind of the core crux of this policy, and that the financial plan is grounded in a multi-year approach and framework. So the different paragraphs I've outlined talk about using internal controls with respect to how we track and account for revenue and expenditures. It talks a little bit about how we are using our chart of accounts to account for capital expenditures and operating expenses, and using the state's uniform chart of account structure to guide us and how we're tracking. It talks about how we use a purchase order system and having to control for expenses doing that. And then lastly, it talks about monitoring cash flow and being able to use a line of credit when we need to pull on for operating expenses when cash is deficient. So as I outlined in the policy, we don't have any violations currently, and we'll get into more detail next month on a more granular look in a similar context. So that is policy 2.4.
Any questions? Seeing none, need a motion?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jim. All those in favor, either raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. State board rule in Perkins.
That's me. This is pursuant to 16 VSA 1541C8. We actively coordinate the use of the facilities and programs with Monterey College systems. We provide a robust adult education system, and our fees are aligned with our costs so that we're not charging more money than we should. We're just charging enough to support the program. And we are in compliance.
But I have a question. What's the current status of What's the current status of Perkins? I know for a while there was.
For Perkins, we're good. They keep giving us a little bit of money, so
That's important.
I think we're up to about 150,000 for this fiscal year, which is supporting welding and the director of curriculum position. It's been very useful.
Thank you.
Does that seem fairly, does that seem fairly stable going forward? Do you think that, the federal government talking cuts and the state talking cuts, is that something that we can depend on?
Level funded.
AOE is telling us to plan for a level funded year for next year. I don't think they have any more visibility than really anybody else. But there haven't been any indications of cuts.
Okay. For the moment.
Okay, need a motion?
I move to accept this report.
Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All those in favor, raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Seeing none. Action carries. We have a donation. You ladies want to talk about that? Or David?
I'll do that. Many of you may know George Dorsey. He owns the Edgewater Gallery and also owns the restaurant in Warren, which is called something. It's a very nice restaurant in Warren. He would like to donate a 1969 Ford Thunderbird. It's very big, it's very green with white top and beautiful vinyl interior. We are estimated value of $15,000. He has agreed that we could auction it or sell it. So currently the plan is to perhaps do some kind of fundraiser, maybe a cowboy gala or something in the fall, where we would auction it off, maybe sell tickets for $100 a piece, something like that. So we hopefully would make, a good bit of money, 20 grand. So we think it's a great opportunity. I'm going to send this letter to him as a thank you, and as soon as this is done, we're going to work on doing transfer of the title.
Has it been appraised?
No, I did an appraisal online based on condition, mileage.
How is it mechanically?
But it's beautiful. Yeah, not a lot wrong with it at all. It's all
Okay.
kept inside. We're keeping it inside, so it's really good.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, we have a safe place.
We do, yeah. It's in the auto bay, so if anybody wants to stop by and take a look at it, hopefully we'll see some action on that soon.
And David, once we assume ownership, this is all covered by our own insurance and all that stuff.
Yeah, we're not gonna register it, and so we're not gonna drive it.
Okay.
It's just covered under our blanket insurance. The only insurance only time we need to get car insurance is if we're registering it and driving it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So once the word gets out, it's going to be accepting offers?
Maybe.
We'll see. I've watched a couple car clubs and I put the word out. But anyway, so that's why I asked about a guesstimate.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right, I need a motion to accept that donation.
So moved. Can't wait to see the green Thunderbird.
I will second Thunderbird.
Thank you. All those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries. Next, on number 5 is the approval of purchase of ERU for K and a roof on 260K, and I understand these are guesstimates. David?
Yes, so I'm really gonna talk about number 5 and number 6 together, if I may. They're really related. Number 5 and number 6 I put here because part of our policy is for the board to approve anything over $40,000. And we are doing that. After I put this memo in, I got revised estimates for the 2 projects. I'm just pulling that up real quick. The new estimate is the roof is $307,000, so that went up about $45,000. And then the ERUs went down, so overall our total cost for these 2 pieces went from $750,000 to $617,000. So that's really good news. The contract piece is because to get on the schedule for the summer, we have to have a contract to secure the roof subcontractor. And we want to get on the schedule this summer, so we want to approve that contract. And the reason I'm bringing it now is because we have not finalized financing. We have got some estimates for financing. We're confident that we're going to get financing, but we have not signed the final. And the main reason is because we're not going to get our draft financials for FY25 until the middle of April. And we feel like once we get those, we'll have a better interest rate. And I may be kicking myself in the foot because interest rates are going up. So in any event, we are asking to approve the contract and to approve the purchase of these 2 items so that we can go ahead and put deposits down on the ERUs and order them, because there's a 6-month lead time or so, 4 to 6 month lead time, and we can secure the contractor for the roof, which will be done in the summer. One other comment, I've got our insurance company and the lawyers for our insurance company have a free contract review process, so that contract is in the process of being reviewed by the lawyers. It's pretty standard, and we're also looking at quotes for insurance. If we get to $1 million of a project, they want us to have additional insurance. So I'm working through all those things right now, but we're going forward strong. And the last thing I'll say is they want us to go ahead and buy the roofing material now, because the price is going to go up on April 1st, and then the price is going to go up in either May or June 1st. So they're really encouraging us to go ahead and purchase that material now. We have a place to store it at the campus at North Campus, in the outside. Go ahead, Steve.
So at recent, I guess, hearings on the education reform, RK Miles and Goodrow Lumber spoke positively about our school. And is it possible to make sure they buy the ingredients or the materials rather from local suppliers in the contract?
That's a great question. It's something that I think we can talk more about at the facilities meeting. I don't think I can guarantee that, because it's the contract is under EI and they have their own process and then procurement procedures. It's one thing if we're buying nails and screws from them, but these are, the big vinyl or for the roof and that kind of stuff, which they won't have. It's a whole roof system. And the ERUs, they won't have those either. So what we can talk about and what I can find out is if anything that we're buying that is not like the major equipment, if we can buy it from them and support the local, I think that's a great idea.
That's a great idea. Good idea.
Thank you, thank you. Any other questions?
Well, Kim, I'll just add, you asked about our audit earlier, and as David alluded to, kind of part of this process is getting a final audit to the bank so they can finalize the financing for us. And as we've talked about, we had a site visit 2 weeks ago with our auditors, and we just signed off on the final acceptance today. We sent them confirmation that we're in agreement with their audit. We sent that off to the attorneys as well, but as David mentioned, there's a turnaround time on their side of a few weeks, and by mid-April, we should have a final audit draft in hand for FY25. So that feels like, we've sort of kicked it up into turbo speed and closed on that, not just because we need to secure financing, but just to have closure on that project. And it puts us in a really strong position to move into FY26's audit when we close out the school year in a few months.
Point of order, I think we need a motion to approve the bids and the purchase of those units, because we seem to have moved off of that item, and I believe we're not done with it yet.
We're still in
There's still a discussion.
So-
Yeah, we haven't done any motion.
So the audit is still discussing North Campus renovation?
It's part of the financing component because the banks are asking for our financials, and Kim asked that.
I had asked her.
Thank you for clarification.
So I do have one question. If they want us to buy the materials, we, in the financing budget, you talked about $71,000, but how much for the materials? And when will that come in?
I'm not quite sure, that was kind of a new thing.
Yeah.
So we're gonna explore that. They're thinking it will save us about 20 grand. So I think we should, from a cash flow perspective, I'm not worried because we have a good bit of cash and our run rate is good enough to keep us through,
That was my next question.
Right. So we would watch that and make that decision. But basically signing the contract and you guys approving the purchase of these two kind of gives us the permission to go through and do that as we see fit. And I can keep the finance committee updated and informed.
Okay.
And related to the financing, David, it's like we should have the financing secured in a month or so, do you think? Or-
Yeah, so April 15th, we'll have the finances, and then we're gonna make, by that time, we'll have all the rest of the estimates, because we've got these two, but there's a few other things to get us to $1 million for the renovation. We're gonna have all that, and the financing won't take very long, so I'm assuming we'll have the financing by mid-May, let's say, and then we'll be able to reimburse ourselves from that financing to pay for that.
Any other questions? Seeing none, I'll take number 5 first. Approve a purchase in the amounts. David, you clarified that a couple minutes ago, and I just want to make sure we have the right numbers in there.
Oh gosh, where did I do it? Hold on.
Memo
There we
says
go.
71,000.
Yeah, but he just talked about some new numbers, and I
Yeah,
can't read that.
updated numbers, the roof is $307,068. And the two ERUs are $309,802. And I'll point out, this includes all engineering, admin, bonds, contractor fees and everything. It's all inclusive for that.
And do me a favor, just read the total.
The total is $616,870.
So you need 61,000 still.
It's not straight 10%, because it's actually 20% of the cost of the ERU, so that number that's there is divided in between the cost of the equipment and the installation. So the number, but it is about $70,000.
So I need a motion.
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
I'm gonna get a big stick and just stick it on. Anyway, thank you. All right. All those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Number 6, approve North Campus renovation contract.
Just want to let everybody know that Judd has joined.
Oh, good.
Welcome, Judd. If I can figure out where my mouse is so I can hit change.
Maybe in your hand.
Hey. I'm blind, I can't see the little white thing.
So I'll make that motion, for the campus renovation contract.
Thank you. Second? Vance? Thank you.
There he is.
All those in favor, please raise your hand or say aye. Number 6, thank you. And Judd, would you take a minute to introduce yourself, please, and welcome. Why not good? Response.
He's on. Wait, yeah. Hi, Judd.
He raised his hand during the vote, but.
Hi, Judd.
Oh, there's my.
It's a long way to short. Could you introduce yourself, please, and welcome.
Yeah, John Mosky, resident of Bridport, and just so Linda knows, I was actually here since about 5:15, but it took me a while to figure out how to get acknowledged with my hand raised, so if that wants to be in the minutes. Thank you for having the meeting, sorry I'm late.
Thank you, John. Alrighty, and on that note, we have a presentation, and I feel somebody's breath behind me. There's a large crowd back there, eager to present. Stephanie?
Yes. Come on up, sure.
Please. Welcome to everyone.
Good evening, my name is Stephanie Wilbur. I am the medical professions instructor here at Hannaford Career Center. I have a phenomenal group of moving students that are here with me this evening. So I actually am lucky enough to have an alumni from last year who is with us today. She's on break from weekend from college, something. You're not done yet, but spring break, thank you. And then I have some first year students and some second year students. So I think it's best to hear from them, kind of about what they're doing. We have some exciting changes in our program this year. We have, we've kept the LNA, which we had last year that Maya was able to participate in. We've added on EMR, which 2 of these students are doing. All 3 of these students are doing LNA in our first year, and in our second year, these 2 students are doing medical assisting, and they're just starting their phlebotomy program. Anybody want to start?
Okay. Sorry in advance, I'm losing my voice. Yeah, this program is like the favorite class I've ever had. It's one of the best things that's ever happened to me, actually. Before this, I didn't quite know what I wanted to do, and now I'm 100%, which is a really nice thing to know going forward. I've become an LNA, which I never would have imagined. Working on my MA and stuff, which is really cool. I'm a home health aide. I am because of this class, like further inspired my love for healthcare. And just some of the things in the class are like the most amazing things I've experienced. Because of this class and shadowing at border, I've been able to see 5 births, 1 today. 3 boys, 2 girls, all healthy. Which is the most amazing experience I have ever had. Each one of them is just incredible. I've seen things in the ER I was during this scene, like a necrotic hand. And just a lot. I got to ride along with EMS and respond to a car crash. And I can't stress enough how amazing this program is.
What was your name?
Caitlin, sorry.
I'm Kendra. I'm second year. It's everything you've ever dreamed for. I came here from the middle school and I saw the class and I knew I wanted to do it in 8th grade. So then when I came, it was like a really big surprise to get the LNA, so that was really cool. And it's helping with job opportunities and a lot of things. The MA is extremely cool. Right now we're learning shots, so that's really fun, vaccinations. There's so much I don't really know where to begin. It's just a lot. It's a lot of learning. It's very rewarding. You put a lot of time in, and you get what you put in it. So it's just great. Like, I don't know. It's just amazing. Is there any specific questions?
Yeah, you ready to go out in the workforce?
Definitely. Ms. Wilbur is totally, she's like the #1 person that's helped me get into college. And I'm gonna go to Castleton for nursing. So it's a really good, yeah, I'm excited. It'll be fun. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sadie. I'm a first year and I'm in the LNA program and I'm also doing the EMR program, which is a lot, but the way that our class is set up, I have time to do everything. So I'm getting ready for my LNA exam next month and doing clinicals. I did clinicals today, and just being able to actually go and help people being a high school student is the coolest thing ever. Any person that I talk to, they're like, that just sounds so cool. And the EMR, I never thought that I would want to do emergency medicine. And then once I started the EMR, I fell in love with it. And it's really interesting in being able to have Walker come over from Middlebury EMS. He comes over on Tuesdays. And that's just it's awesome. And I'm also doing early college next year, and I just got into the nursing program at Castleton. And there's no way that I would have been able to do that without this class. Ms. Wilbur helped the entire way, getting me ready to do that. And I feel like if I didn't take this class, I would not be ready to go straight into nursing school while still being in high school. And yeah, this class is it's prepared me. So yeah.
I'm Bella. I'm also a first year student, and I'm only taking the LNA program, but I love it so much. I'm just so happy that I like to help people, and being able to help people at she said such a young age is just amazing. And I definitely didn't expect to go down the path of being in medical anything. And now I just definitely know that's what I want to do. And we just learned so much, and Miss Wilbur is honestly the most helpful person I've met. I shadowed at today I went and I shadowed at the hospital, and I was in med-surg, and the nurses there are just so helpful, and I learned so much going and shadowing there. And we just finished our clinicals, and that was such a good experience, and it really gave me an idea of what I definitely want to do and help people with. And I'm really excited to continue and learn more next year, and hopefully get my LNA in April.
My name is Frank. I'm also a first-year student. I'm doing both the EMR and the LNA program. And I think this class is amazing because it's giving me real opportunities to make changes in people's lives. Just today, we were doing our clinical exams, and for as much as that is for us to get checks in the boxes so we can get our LNAs, those people that we go and interact with, we are making a real change in their day and a real change in their lives by getting to go out and help them. And without Ms. Wilbur, I would have never realized that or had these opportunities. So I want to thank her, and I'd like to thank all of you for making this program possible.
My name is Maya. I graduated last year from Mount Aid. So I did the program as a second year last year. I was the only Mount Aid student, and then graduated with my LNA, and then I'm currently enrolled at Colby Sawyer College for nursing. But I will be transferring for the fall and going for health sciences at Ithaca College in New York. I love the LNA program and all the Career Center courses. I didn't take it that first year, or the first year of it, like Med 1. I was away at boarding school, and when I came back, wasn't really on track for college, and like graduation requirements, and like it was just really chaotic. But I did the Med and the Career Center and got really on track and got into all my schools I applied to, and originally applied for pre-med and then switched to nursing after taking LNA and doing my classes and being like, this is actually what I want to do. And I loved it. Like I think I only regret not doing it in both years. Like I think that would have been helpful in being in college and being in classes. I feel like I have a lot more like knowledge going into it and a bigger background on the material.
Has one quick
I forgot to mention this, but last Saturday there was a bad car crash, and I was actually like the sole person taking care of the victim, and she's in shock, and it's my first time ever doing something like this, and I thought to myself afterwards, 2 years ago, if the same thing happened to me, I'd be a completely different person. I wouldn't know the first thing to do. I wouldn't know how to talk to that person, how to care for them, how to care for their wounds, how to make sure they're okay as possible. And it's just all because of this wilderness program. I was able to help a person in dire need, a total stranger on the side of the road, and it was like second nature, like I had done this before, but I hadn't.
And Caitlin's being pretty bashful that the patient that she's talking about was actually ejected from her vehicle, involved in a pretty significant car crash, and Caitlin was there with a physician and a nurse, and Caitlin was managing the scene. She was telling them what she needed to care for this patient and to stop the bleed and to maintain C-spine. So it was a pretty cool message that I got afterwards. So thank you for supporting the program.
Before Stephanie leaves, I just would like to have one announcement that Stephanie heard today that she got her license from the state. She worked really hard to do it, and the state has been saying no to a lot of people going through this pathway. And not only did they say yes to her, but she got lovely commendations in her letter. So congratulations.
Stephanie, don't leave yet. One of my other hats I wear, I'm on the hospital board, medical board. We had a meeting yesterday regarding quality. And one of the pieces from both ER and some of the practices around the town is how valuable they see your clinical pieces that you do. And the nurses, this is from administrators, this is from the president of the UVM, talking about it, who grew up in Leicester. And he just sees you people as somebody that's very, very valuable, professional. You guys come in like you've worked there forever. And that's very noticeable. I want you to know that. And they can't say enough about your participation. Thank you for doing that.
Good job.
Thanks, Liz.
Very inspiring. Yay. They are amazing.
But you have had two board members join.
So Johnson, introduce her. Bill, would you take a minute and introduce yourself, please?
Bill, you're on mute. Well, you're not on mute, but we can't hear you. But we can read your lips.
You really can.
Good. Translate.
I don't think you're on mute now, and I don't think you're speaker's working, your microphone's working.
It's indicating that he's on mute on my screen.
Yeah.
There he goes.
No.
Got it. Laura, you also have joined us.
I have joined us.
Okay, I wanted you to fire up your computer.
Sorry.
So you just tell us.
My name is Laura Harthan. I live in Middlebury. I'm an ACSD representative on this board.
Thank you. Tell him to get his whiteboard out. Anyway.
And I apologize for my tardiness, but it's also
Sounds like you had something.
it's also conference night at the middle school, so
That'll do it every time. So when Bill's computer decides to wake up, maybe he'll talk to us. But Bill Goodman, and he is he's not a community at large. He is a give me the initials. Whip. Goodman, thank you.
What was that, chat?
You can take that up. Thank you. So next on the agenda, we have some reports. First one is the superintendent's report.
All right, so this is the time of year where I really like to give the board some context about sort of where we are positioned in the legislative context, and then also where we're positioned in our annual cycle of budgeting and staffing. So I'm going to start with the legislative context for the center. Right now, there's a lot going on in public education and in CTE specifically for our center. You've seen my reports. Senator Baruth has got a bill out right now. It started off as a spending cap bill, S220, but it has morphed right now into a excess threshold bill, which doesn't affect us directly, but anything that affects our sending districts, it will affect our CTE district by default. So right now, we're just waiting to see how that all plays out. We also have the dueling maps, which are out in the context right now. We have the Conlin map and the Baruth map. And I sent out today links to both of those maps so you can kind of play around with them and take a look if you'd like to see the actual maps. And both of the scenarios, it's kind of the same for Addison County. They sort of leave us the same, exactly the same as we are. In Conlin's map, it's all school districts. I think in Baruth's map, there may be an opening for some SUs, but in any case, the organization for Addison County remains largely the same. The other thing which we've all been waiting for and finally dropped was the actual foundation formula modeling. So that's also linked in an email I sent you today. And essentially, there are big winners and big losers and some that are smaller on either side. I think the important thing is, as you look at that document, the upside or the downside of each of the foundation, of each of the formulas of funding that the new districts would have, I just want to be super clear that that's not the change in cost to the district. It's only the change in money that they get. So, for example, if us, Lincoln, Addison Northwest, Mount Abe, and ACSD all merged into the scenario map that is presented, the foundation formula, which would then be applied to that, our new district would receive $12 million less than all the combined districts currently receive, and that's not including our budget. That's just including the K-12 school district budgets. And in this scenario, it kind of looks like we're merging with them. So as you look across that map, it's not the change in cost, it's the change in dollars. So especially up in the north, the Burlington area, there's some pretty significant deficits there. There was also a superintendent, I believe it was Lamoille, that put out he did the math based on his area. And the problem is that his district has a pay band, which is similar to like us, Burlington, that sort of thing. But the other two districts, which he would be lumped with, have much lower pay bands. And so he showed what would happen if they're one district. Obviously, they're going to level up to the higher pay band. It would be a $5 million difference just in 1 year. So it's a pretty significant change. The other thing that's going on is Senator Ron Hinsdale's bill, which is the Senate Bill 313. When the Senate bill came across as mostly aspirational language about CTE access and ensuring CTE access for all. Now it made the crossover, so now it's being looked at by, I think it's House Ed. And now the job of the committee is to actually flesh that out. So what does it look like in real terms? Not just as an aspiration, but what is the actual legislative change that needs to be made? The Association of Career Technical Educators has been working really hard with the legislature. We put out a platform of things which are really important to us, such as tuition that doesn't follow the kid, that we have equitable access for students, that the crediting is a really big deal for us, that when we award a credit to a student that they must then get credit for that at their high school, and the legislative platform which I've shared with the board previously. So the committee was very thankful for that, and they're using that legislative platform to start to craft some of that bill. Now that isn't CTE writ large. It's not governance and it's not funding. It's some of the sort of salient points that we're hoping to get out of this session. We're actually hoping that given the small amount of time that's left, that they don't dive into governance and the big funding questions, because there's probably not time to do that thoroughly. Act 73, which you remember was passed last year, is having some implications already for career technical education, and it's not limited to our district. It is it's happening across the board. So the thing which is happening is the class size minimums take effect July 1st of this July 1st. So previously, high schools could sort of run classes even when they were small. The new law says that there are minimum sizes to classes and you can't run them if you don't hit those minimums. So as high schools are struggling with their master scheduling, it is a problem if they don't have enough kids to run a class. So we're concerned that some students may not make it over to CTE because the high schools are struggling with the class sizes that they're dealing with. So that's a really big concern and something that I'm dealing with actually today. I spent quite a bit of time dealing with that. I think
Could you clarify that a little bit? So the minimum, we're starting to understand how they're going to set minimum sizes, right? That would affect them trying to retain students and not send them to CTE, is that what you're saying?
Right, so because for example, if you need to run a, I don't know, US history class, and I don't know the minimums off the top of my head, but let's say it was 10, but you only had 8. You can't run the class if you don't have the minimum, so you need to make the minimum so you can run the class.
So instead of getting a kid welding, he's got to go to US history.
It's possible, and I don't have insight into exactly what's happening, but it is, I would say that I'm getting enough evidence that I think it's a problem. And we had actually a CTE director meeting today, and many people were reporting that this is happening. And it's a completely, unintended effect of this legislation. The legislation was intended, right, to start consolidating schools. I don't think that there was thought through what that might happen about CTE when you had to send students away.
Sounds counterintuitive to what the whole idea is that a student pursues something that they want to do so that they stay in high school.
Then I think there's just the general uncertainty and the competing maps. If one of those maps passes, and I don't know at this point, I don't think anybody could say with certainty if one is going to pass, but if one of those maps passes, then that triggers the language in the act, which then causes the foundation formula to go into effect. If none of the maps pass, then that doesn't trigger the foundation formula because the entire bill is built on if-then statements, right? The first thing is the maps, then there's the funding, and then everything flows. But each thing has to happen before the next thing happens. So there's general uncertainty to, is it going to happen? Is there one of these maps going to be accepted? And then is the foundation formula going to kick in? And I would encourage you to look at those documents I sent because you can see the effects there. And then the other thing is the CTE service regions. The one thing that we've been asking for and working so hard for is no matter what happens, please change the CTE service regions. And the maps that are coming out don't change the CTE service regions, but the language, which I think might be hooked onto Senate Bill 313, might in fact either get rid of service regions altogether or make them extremely porous for students to be able to go across. So that's language we're still paying attention to. Then the next piece of our context this year is our county enrollment. So over the last 5 years, the Mount Abe, and I'm going to talk just about high school students because that's what affects us. Mount Abe High School has lost 71 students, Virgins has lost 79, Middlebury's gained 15, but it's a total loss countywide of 135 students. out of just over 1,000. So that's a pretty significant decrease in only 5 years of over 10% of our high school population. So that's obviously the population from which we draw. So how does that affect PAC? Well, our head count, so this is individual students who come here, not their FTE, but the actual children, live children that come to us, has really pretty much evened out. So we spent quite a lot of time, as you know, focusing on marketing and recruitment of students, and it paid off. We were in the 292 kind of number of kids. Now we're in the 350 range, with our enrollment fluctuating slightly as high as 384 to this year of 377. So we're doing pretty well, especially considering that our sending school districts are declining. Now, all of the things that I talked about before may start to affect that, especially if the foundation formula kicks in. So, but despite declining enrollment, we did see increases in our last 2 years, actually, of enrollment. And I think that's a result of the marketing and advertising combined with the fact that we completely, and huge credit to Wendy, and I think Tracy is still here, to Tracy for revamping our 8th grade and our 10th grade visits. They're much better, really engaging. The teachers are doing a great job with doing actually activities when the students come through, so they actually get to do something when they're in the classes as opposed to just listening to people talk, and we're getting really good feedback from those. The downside to that is we are surveying all of the students that go through those programs, and surveying all of the 8th graders and all the 10th graders. 51% of those kids told us that they'd like to come to CTE, but it won't fit in their schedule. So that is some hard data that we have that shows us that what we have been hearing anecdotally from students, they are certain, I don't know if it's reality, but it's certainly perception from both the 8th grade and the 10th grade groups. So we are now at the stage where all of our student applications have been turned in. They were due, well, first look was February 15th or February 14th, I think it's Valentine's Day. We will continue to accept any applications that come in, but our first big push, our first look was February. And we've gone through all of those applications and are now totaling those, and most kids were accepted. There are some students which we have to have an interview with, and there were a very small number, 4 applications, so less than 1% of our applications that we were not able to accept. So at this point then, how does application translate into enrollment? So over the last 3 years, we've tracked this, and we lose between application time and enrollment time, we lose about 30% of our students. So about 30, it started off at 24, then the next year was 25, and then this last year was 28% of our students who applied. And it's not, it's not an easy application process. They have to fill out an application, we have to get their transcripts and their behavior things, so it's not just like a haphazard application for students. Students have applied, they've been accepted, and then last year 28% of them weren't able to come. So knowing that, we have to be careful about as we get our applications, it doesn't necessarily translate into our enrollment. And then the life of CTE is, unlike K-12, you have to have the enrollment to hire the teacher, because the enrollment actually translates directly, as you know, into our FTE and into our revenue. And it's a trailing 6-semester average, so it gets even a little bit more complicated because the students you have before you don't actually count. It's the students that were in the semester before them and the 5 semesters before that. And that's one of the things that we're trying to address in the CTE legislation, is to try to get it so it's the greater of either your 6-semester trailing average or the kids before you. And there seems to be some traction there. So next year our tuition is just under $40,000 with our students are mostly technical students. That would be $20,000 from the sitting school for the technical students, and some fractional amount of that for our pre-technical students, who count anywhere from 0.31 FTE all the way down to 0.16 FTE per student, whereas our technical students count for 0.5 FTE. Then the next piece is, what is that magic number that's considered a full program, or a program that's viable in the eyes of the Agency of Education? The magic number is 8 FTE. So if you have pre-technical students, that's 16 children. If you have pre-tech students, that's twice that, because they're only here for every other day, and down to a fractional FTE, because we are the last vestige of counting the number of kids by the minutes they're sitting in your seats, which seems very counterintuitive for CTE. You think that we would be the very first people to be proficiency-based as opposed to seat time, but alas, that is not the way it is. So as we're looking for how we can staff our school next year, or our district next year, we have to look at how close are we to 8 FTE and maintain 8 FTE in the program. And that's not only sort of a rule of thumb, it's also part of our Perkins applications and our funding mechanisms. It's part of how they count our programs as quality or not quality. So our programs are not quality if they do not meet 8 FTE going forward. So for the pre-tech teachers, this is especially problematic because they get fractional FTE. So it can take up to 48 students to equal 8 FTE in some of our programs. The other piece to consider is that CTE is designed to change over time. So unlike traditional schools, high schools where you probably have history and math and English and all the things and the same things most of us took, CTE is supposed to reflect and change over time based on the needs of the local labor force and the labor force of the state. So most CTE programming is very effective for a while, and then something will change in the industry or in the region, and then some programs may wane while other programs stand up. And it's a challenge to be able to both maintain programs that students really want to take, introduce students to emerging technologies like our advanced manufacturing program, and make sure that our programs are reflecting, in fact, the labor force needs of Addison County and the labor force needs of the state. And it's a zero-sum game because there isn't enough student population to just keep adding programs. We generally need to have programs wane in order to bring new programs online. So what are the next steps for us? Now we have our applications. Now we have to wait for our sending schools to do their scheduling because they in fact are the gatekeepers to which students can come here based on their actual scheduling, which isn't the kids' requests or the kids' applications for classrooms, for their classes at their sitting high schools. It's when they run the master schedule and actually start sticking kids into classes and kids walk away with a schedule. And we have been attempting to move that up early each year, but for a number of reasons. One of our schools, I would give credit where credit is due. Jody, the principal over at Virgins, has rearranged her scheduling process so that she has schedules done at spring break. That is a huge win for kids because all of the kids that are in Virgins High School that want to come to our school will get the first choice of all the seats in all of our programs. We're still working with both Middlebury Union High School and Mount Abraham High School in order to hopefully have them schedule students sooner rather than later. We established, over the course of a year, we established a May 1st deadline where we hoped that they would be able to tell us when all students were scheduled and which students were actually coming. Because when our applications are teetering on that 8 FTE, I can't offer a contract if I don't know that I have the kids coming. And I can't know if the kids are coming until the high schools get their scheduling done. And based on the fact that we lose upwards of 28%, 30% of our students over the course of the year, and there's not a rhyme or reason to which programs that happens in normally, it's really challenging to predict without having the schools do the high school scheduling. So we spent quite a lot of time educating our high school principals so that they understand how serious this is and what a big deal this is and how much it impacts our students and our staff. And they understand that, and so we're hopeful that we will get schedules earlier than we did last year, which was June. So this year they have committed so far to May 31st, and we are continuing to push for May 1st. Where are we? So because of that, we have labor agreements which require us to notify any teacher who may not have a job for next year based on enrollment by March 15th. That March 15th deadline does not align well with our scheduling that I just described. So I have to be very conservative when I'm issuing RIF letters because I don't know if the students are actually going to show up who applied for our programming based on the loss rate that we have. So any of our programs where it looked questionable, I did go ahead, just like I did last year and the year before, issue RIF letters. This year we have We are more concerned about enrollment than we have been in the past because we have less applications and all of the factors which I described previously. So at this point, we have issued more RIF letters this year than we have had to issue in the past. And I'm very hopeful that enrollment will come into a point where I can rescind those RIF letters, but I don't know that, and I'm not gonna know that for a little bit of time. So the other piece is we have to issue contracts in April, I think it's April 15th, which is a month after the RIF letters come out. So if I have more indication as we watch the application numbers, at any point where I feel confident we're gonna hit that 8 FTE, I'll be able to resend RIF letters. But if I don't have any more information at the April date, I will only be able to issue contracts for the classes and programs where I know I'm gonna have the required FTE. After that, I have to wait until the May time when the high schools get their scheduling done. So, what are we doing? How are we trying to help this situation? Obviously, I'm spending quite a lot of time interacting with, and Wendy spends even more than me, interacting with our high school principals, doing our outreach and our marketing. We've done, I think you've seen our social media, our Facebook, our Instagram, our LinkedIn. Our website is looking so much better. We are doing postcards both to our internal people in Addison County, and now we're just about to send out a whole nother set of postcards that says, these programs still have space, please apply now. We also are we're gonna send out postcards because of our Senator Ruth Hardy, who passed an amendment last year, allowing us to gain information about students who are denied access because of waitlisting or just not getting in to our north and our south. We're gonna have directory information for those students so that we can directly mail to them and say, we see you didn't get into X CTE center, we would love to invite you to our CTE center, and hopefully that will pay off. We're also doing open houses at all of our sending schools, and Tracy and a group of teachers went up to Otter Valley at their request that we were not trying to get in the way there. We sent our programs that Rutland doesn't offer to do it to the open house at Otter Valley. We also some of our instructors have been doing lunchtime tables at their sending high schools. Jill's been doing one of those. We've done lots of highlights in the Addison Independent. We've done some paid ads in our local paper. We've done a lot of community events. We invite all of our public to our open houses, our Outstanding Student, our Celebration of Learning, our National Technical Honor Society. We have those newsletters that you see, those go out to all of our community groups, and we have actually a email group that's friends of PAC that get all of our newsletters too, and we just keep growing that list. I did the roadshow that you saw for the budget here. I think I did that over 15 times in our greater Addison County community to everybody, every organization or group or philanthropy that would hear me, I went. And then you've seen the program of studies which Jillian completed this year, which has been both a huge tool for our counselors in sending schools and also an excellent marketing tool. Our annual report, you've seen that we've totally changed that so that it's both the annual report and also a marketing tool. And we've been holding our counselor and special ed breakfasts. So we're doing quite a lot to try to assist with the recruitment and retention efforts. So that's all the context that we are facing as we get ready for this next staffing cycle. And I'd be happy to take questions.
Nicole, I have one question. Has anybody at the state level, I'd say the legislature, talked about a universal graduation requirements?
Huh.
Yeah.
Yes, I will. That is probably a presentation for another time. AOE, the shrinklet version is, AOE was tasked with doing that. They've put together a recommended set of recommendations, which would exceed anything you would expect, to include more health, 4 years of math, 2 foreign language required for every student. It looks very much like I don't know, what other states would call an honors diploma. It would be a big barrier to career technical education. As a side note, we signed up, we volunteered to host a student focus group on the graduation requirements. So our CTE kids will be one of only 7 groups in the state to give feedback on those requirements.
You mentioned some kids didn't get in. Like why wouldn't that kid be able to
great
get
question.
a student?
So we are in an enviable position that we actually have space in most of our programs. Not all, we have a couple that generally fill up, but most of our programs have space. So the students of Addison County, if they want to come to CTE, assuming they can, get through the barrier of the scheduling process, they will get CTE. But the centers to our north and to our south, through no fault of their own, have more students wanting in than they have seats available. So this fall alone, there were 141 students to our north and to our south who were accepted, but there was not space, so they were waitlisted and didn't get in. And that's not even including all the students who were denied. So everybody's doing their best to let as many students in as they can, but there's not enough capacity in Essex and Burlington and Stafford to serve all the students who want CTE.
So you weren't necessarily saying somebody that applied here didn't get in, you just meant at all the career centers. Like, is there anything that would keep somebody from getting in with open seats? Like behavior problems, like what are examples of not being able to get in?
So the big thing is that we have deadly equipment, right? A student could do something and it's a huge risk in some of our programs. So we do look at behavior reports of students, and if there's a safety concern, that might be a reason a student didn't get in. And it would depend on the program. It's a very different thing when you're dealing with saws and chainsaws and auto lifts than when you're dealing with phlebotomy needles, right? Each of the programs has a risk, and we have to weigh the program risk against the student who wants to attend. I think the only other reasons, Wendy can help me out, there's in some classes, our IRCs, or industry recognized credentials, for example, manufacturing, there's a math and reading level there that you probably need to be at least close to, otherwise you won't be successful in the class. And so generally at our center, we're able to offer those supports, but that's because we also have the excess capacity. All of our classes aren't full, the instructors have a little bit more time to serve students. But at another center, they may not have that luxury, right? So it just depends. The state statutes in the state of Vermont require us to ensure that all students are screened for safety and literacy and math skills so that they can be successful in their programs.
Gotcha. All right.
Any other questions? It's a lot. Obviously, if you have questions, Nicole's available. Go ahead, Kristen.
Well, I just have an observation, I guess. It sounds like one of the stumbling blocks is the dates in the contracts, right? Like you have to give the RIF notices by a certain date. You have to determine, is there a way to change that so we don't have to do that so soon? Or, I don't know, it's unfortunate because you have to issue those in the first
Yeah, from here, it just sounds like it's the schools deciding on their schedules. Because all of that gets pushed off past the idea of the deadline for the contracts. If they came up with their schedules and you had your enrollment before April 15th, is that even possible?
Yes.
May 1, we asked for May 1.
Virgins is doing it.
Virgins is doing it, so it can be done, and is it just a thing that they schedule, or is there more information they have to gather to make their decisions by May? I mean, this could be something at the state level that really kind of unifies this.
So I spent a long time doing high school master schedules. It is complicated. It is really complicated. And it never works out perfectly. And when you're trying to schedule all the needs of many hundreds, if not thousands of kids across a schedule, it is complicated. And you have to run it and rerun it and tweak things and change things and move classes and move teachers. And you do like 90 iterations before you get close. So there is the real fact that it's complicated and it takes time. And also, it is possible to move that up. I had a high school of 1,200 kids, and all of our students had their schedule by spring break. It was actually required of me, so.
I think it sort of used to be like that,
Yeah.
maybe like 10 years ago, and over time, system changes and staffing issues, who's responsible for what, it's just gotten a lot more complicated, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I don't want to minimize the complexity of what the high school principals are facing, because there are also all kinds of interventions and things that I never had to schedule, right? And moving the whole process up earlier would allow our students to have their place. Because the other thing, and this is a whole nother presentation I can do, but the way our state board rules and our state statutes are written in the state of Vermont, CTE isn't a nice to have, it's an entitlement, it's a right. That if a student is accepted to the CTE center, they shall be sent. Not they can be or might be, it's shall. And in fact, the state board rules go so far as to say that graduation requirements should be waived and programs should be waived and schedule should be changed to ensure that the student shall be sent. So it's very prescriptive. It couldn't be more clear.
Seems it's still a little muddied.
Right.
But, yeah.
I would add, Christina, to your point though, even if we had a more accelerated scheduling syncing with our sending districts, we still have in our master agreement for the faculty the March 15th deadline.
That's what I was actually talking about, is the master agreement.
The way to add flexibility there is to have that date change, but that has to come out in negotiations.
Yeah.
And it has to align with the sending districts too, so
that's probably
it's,
never
the
gonna
two sort of
happen.
operate in isolation, and they're not synced. And to Dan's point, having a statewide mandate would help with consistency either way, regardless of what that actual date looks like.
Yeah, from the perspective of a teacher though, if you're gonna not have a job next year, you probably wanna know early enough to go get a different one.
Very true.
Right, so
true. Yeah.
this cycle of hiring teachers kind of starts right after Christmas. And by April, it's kind of wrapping up unless there's a surprise. So there is a reason for those.
Yeah. It just affects
I
staff
see that.
negatively.
It's just us making the decision.
Right.
Needs to be pushed up. Right.
Yeah,
Again, sending.
It's the worst possible scenario to unnecessarily stress people.
Yeah.
So one other opportunity that Nicole and I will have to speak to some legislature in this area is next Monday at 9 they've arranged a forum to invite a lot of the legislatures in this area to come and speak. And whether or not they have a lot of questions still, hopefully they do, but we plan on attending that, just let you know.
Well, if you just had a PowerPoint slide with those dates on it and just said, look, this is our decision.
Too late. Bill's got a question. Bill's got his hand up. Bill Bingaman.
Is he typing it to you? Is it in the chat?
Oh, it's probably in the chat. Yeah, it's just two. Jason, my mouth.
There it is.
Did MUS just schedule the biggest problem in losing students still?
So that's a little bit tricky. It's definitely the biggest number, but it's also the school is so much bigger, right? We don't get very many students from Mount Abe and Virgins. So yes, in the numbers game, certainly we lose more students from MUHS than any other school, but that is also because they have more students than any other school come. But the requirements for all, I think it was 2 school board meetings ago, I showed you the graduation requirements at the 3 sending schools. And the students that go to Middlebury have significantly more requirements. It's name by name requirements, not just credits. And name by name requirements are the sticking points for kids, because we do have so many embedded credits. Students from Mount Abe and Virgins have more opportunities to use our credits toward graduation than Middlebury students who have many named by name specific classes they have to take.
Any other questions? If you have missed any of the reports from the committees, Nicole tries and shares them with them, and some of us get them automatically now. But at the same time, it gives you a little background about either how much they know, how much they don't know, and the turnover well, what do they call it? The turnover period is tomorrow, I think.
Crossover.
Thank you. And that should give us a few more indications. The maps, I don't know. And the inability to separate CTE from all of that. We shall see. But anyway, again, if you have any questions, feel free, please send them to Nicole.
And I've sent you all my contact information. Feel free. The more you're informed, the more confident and comfortable you'll be. So I do encourage you to reach out.
Okay, next group, committee reports. I think they are included, or there's no links on there, but I'm not sure how many have met recently. Can anybody answer that?
Yeah, facilities did not meet on Thursday of last month because it was during school vacation. So we are planning to meet this 1 week from this past morning.
Policy met last week.
Yeah, budget met. We basically covered everything we did for that North Campus. So we're on that.
Anybody have a question about the votes and so on? The Addison Independent ran an article regarding the ballots that were missing in Salisbury, and they were delivered. And I think next year we will have a sign sheet. They have received them. Anyway, they were never found. The ruling was that it would not have affected the outcome of our budget vote. And I believe that town has decided not to have a separate election for the Career Center. Just some feedback on that and conversation with Linda, who's been on that. Thank you, Linda.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda.
Yeah. Anyway, policy committee, who've been very busy by the looks of it.
Yeah, this is so as many of you know, the policy committee is tasked with reviewing all our policies every 3 years. And for those of you old souls that remember, we got rid of all of our policies 3 years ago and adopted all of the policies that are in the policy manual, which means that they are all due to be reviewed by the end of this year. And we have been working, the committee, and I am not doing this by myself, that's for sure. The committee has done yeoman's work in going through these and providing you both the current policy that's on our books, the VSBA policy, and the difference between them. Although it's outdated language, what this means is that this is the first time that this board has seen the reviews for these 7 policies. I think there's 7, yeah, these 7 policies. And the way that works is that it's been presented to you, how we're going to revise these, and this is your opportunity to look at them and decide if you have any questions on them. We are not reviewing them today. We're not going through them one at a time today. This is just simply presenting it publicly as to the work the committee's been doing. The next meeting in April 16th, is when we would adopt these policies, and that's when we would be voting on them. Many of them, I'm looking at the list. Many of them are simply we have reviewed the policies. There's not a significant change to them, and we are simply saying that, yep, this is what they look like. Yep, this is what the VSBA says they still look like, and yep, we are going to renew them for another 3 years. I know this looks like a lot, but we are coming to the end. To let you know that over the next 2 months, we should be able to get through all 30 policies. Is it? We should be through all nearly 30 policies, and we'll be done for 3 more years. And all we'll be doing now after this is sometimes Nicole asks us for policies to support things that are happening at the Career Center, and these are new policies. Sometimes we get policy revisions from VSBA that turn out to be only for K-12, and they don't even try to be oriented towards CTEs. So we have to examine those and play with those. But what you have before you right now are the latest batch that the policy committee has reviewed for your nighttime reading. And if you have any questions, bring them to the April meeting, and we'll be able to chunk through these, and you'll have your next assignment to read the following ones.
And if I may add for Bill, Bill's the top of Bill's head, I see.
Probably trying to eat dinner.
There he is. Bill, one of those links is the compare view. We made sure we left that in there for you, so you can see what's changed. In one case, they took the capitalization off the superintendent, and that's our new policy. That's our new policy, yeah.
And just to clarify the process, that it's changing just a little bit. The policy committee decided that we're gonna do all of the links during the first read. So the old policy, the red line policy, and what the new policy would look like. When it comes to you for second read and adoption, it will only have the new policy.
Yes.
So if you wanna look at the old stuff, it's on here.
Save it now. Save the
Yes.
link.
And one thing I just want to point out too is number 7 is a brand new policy that we do not have yet.
That's a new, fresh out.
It's new, but it's coming from the state. This did not go through VSBA, if I remember correctly.
Right.
The state wrote this directly based on the legislation that they passed about cell phones. So it's kind of hard for us to say we're not following the law on that one, because that one came straight from the State House.
Any questions? Well, thank y'all for your work. We know that can be quite tedious. The hospital's in the same situation. He's trying with like 200 policies. As of yesterday, they're down to maybe 50. So, and you're right, until somebody sits and does it.
There are 46 on our list.
46.
Thank you.
I think we've tackled them.
There you go. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Actually, I'm impressed about how many we have got done.
Same here.
So.
It's been a long time to get it complete, actually. Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Anyway, no questions about any of them? Or if you do, you know where to send them. Right. To Dan, Dr. Dan. Anyway, so next on the agenda is a public comment and commentary on any topic. Judd?
I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to thank Linda for her organization at the vote counting. I'm one of the people who comes and counts votes, and there's probably multiple right ways to do it, but she's got a really good system, and we've had those votes counted quickly and accurately. The only thing I would say is if there's a slightly larger room next year, we were pretty cramped. We were in the glass onion. So if there's a ever so slightly larger room, that would be fantastic.
Shannon was
I
very.
think the only reason we went with that room versus this room was access for anybody who came in. It was easy to get to that room first.
And Shannon's complimentary comments about Linda. Learning way more than you need to know.
You know, it may have been small, but you guys warmed it up in there like that. I was freezing before you guys showed up.
But thank you, Linda. Much appreciated, all your knowledge on Robert.
And thank you, Shannon, as well, for doing all that work with Linda, but really great system.
So moving on, public comment from anybody? Like to speak to the board?
I wanted to just take this opportunity because I don't think we have completely finished the budget conversation, the audit conversation, so I just wanted to add a couple of things.
Sure.
First of all, I want to toot our horn a little bit from the finance office because, and I told this to the finance committee, the auditors were extremely happy with the work that we did, the efficiency of which we provided all the information. In comparison, obviously last FY24 took a year to complete. They were here one day. We had everything for them. They reviewed it. They were so happy. They went and they did the last 2 days of on-site at home, off-site. last year, we had over 25 adjustments of all kinds of things. This year, we had 7, and they were just $200 here, $200 there. It was a big difference. And eventually, you'll get the management letter. Last year, it was 10 or 12 things. There are 2 things, and that's really good. So I just wanted to say thank you, one, for all the support and the patience. And I also wanted to tell you that we finally, I feel like Austin and I finally feel like the bear is off our back, or the monkey's off our back, that we're on target, and they'll be back in August to finish this year's, and we're back. So I just wanted to say we appreciate everyone's support and patience, and Austin and I are very proud of that.
You should be.
That was a big lift.
Yeah, I think we should throw you a party on
I think yes.
That warrants it.
I will not argue that.
Off campus.
An inexpensive part.
They also love donuts. So if anybody ever needs to.
Board members, you should have Craig's resume in front of you if you pass those around. You can go.
I know.
We need a moment of reflection. The judge traditionally does this quite well, even online.
I tried again. Sorry I was late. I was a few minutes late. I decided to do this meeting from home because I had been on the road all day. Great meeting. I really loved the presentation from the medical students. That is amazing news, and to hear it directly from them, how they all feel that the program prepared them well, or is preparing them well. I think that speaks volumes to what we offer here. And yeah, I just really appreciate the teachers and staff and everyone who does all the work to make it such an incredible experience for the students and ultimately then for the community.
Thank you, Jen. Nicole and I have talked about this. Some of you know we did this in the past and wanted to get it back on the schedule so that some of you get to meet the faculty members not only here, but the ones around the building. Other thing I would say at this point in time, if you haven't had a chance to go to one of their programs and actually see that, it would require you to come and make an appointment, you could actually see them in action, whatever that means. But anyway, and just, really getting hands-on, some of you attend open houses, which are really, really helpful, but I think, anytime I get a call from a parent or a student, what can I do? And someone make an appointment, have them come and take a tour. Because a lot of them can't come during the other scheduled school visits, but I think, and no matter what age, we're picking up a lot of students for the drone club, and they're 6th graders. I mean, they're really early, and they love it. And they were all here during open house. Saw quite a few of them coming here and doing their thing. And that, as Nicole's reported, they're doing really well in their competitions. I think they have another one coming up.
They do, yeah.
Which is great. And the earlier you can engage them, I think the better. Especially the parents too, talking to them during open house. They're just so excited to see their students. And there were a lot of homeschool or private schools around the area that were coming and joining that group. So it's really fun to see that engagement.
If I could add, that last open house was special. It really was a crazy, active, I had a ball. I mean, it was over before I knew it. And
ready to come back to school.
Yeah.
There you go.
I want to do welding.
Okay.
And cooking.
Is your wife sending you in for that?
Yeah. No, thank you. That was
I
did a lot of work in that last open house.
I should have announced when Craig was here, and I just thought of it, but the diesel students, 2 of the diesel students competed yesterday in the Heritage competition, which is an auto competition, and they came in 3rd in the state.
Awesome. Nice. And we can't deny that open house, the food is one of the highlights.
It was
It's a big draw.
It was. Come for the food, stay for the show.
Just point out, we have a comment from Bill. The Drum Club and Lego will be a draw for Mr. A.
Will be a what? I'm sorry. A draw.
A draw. Of drawing people in.
Oh, a draw.
Thank you, Bill.
So next, two board meetings are listed on your agenda. I'm gonna need an executive session motion from someone. And you must read it.
Where's the two-parter? Give it to Steve, he's got the cheat sheet.
He's good.
He's always prepared.
Two motions.
Yeah, because this is a finding one, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. Let me get the- how come it's not? Oh, that's the wrong thing. Okay.
He's got his laminated cheat sheet. Here we go.
I would like
Thank you, Steve.
to move that we go into executive session. I would like to find that the premature general public knowledge regarding the labor relation, appointment, employment, or evaluation of a public officer or employee would clearly place the board at a substantial disadvantage because the board risks disclosing personnel information if it discusses this in public. So.
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor? Raise your hand or say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Seeing none, motion carries.
Okay, I move that we enter executive session based on those findings for the purpose of discussing appointment, employment, or evaluation of a public officer according to BSA 313A3.
I'll second that as well.
Yes. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?